It was just after 6 a.m. on a rainy Tuesday morning when Ava Jensen, a nursing assistant working the night shift, stepped off the number 42 bus at the corner of Maple and Hawthorne, clutching her coffee and umbrella. The city hadn't fully woken up yet. Shop shutters were still drawn, and the streets shimmered with puddles reflecting the dull glow of early street lamps. Ava yawned, her mind foggy with exhaustion, thinking only of the warm bed waiting for her back home. But as she turned to head toward her car, something out of place caught her eye. An old, worn-out navy blue backpack leaning against the rusted bench at the bus stop. At first, she thought someone had forgotten it. But then it moved. She froze. A soft, barely audible whimper cut through the pattering rain. Ava slowly stepped forward, heart pounding, and knelt beside the backpack. Unzipping it cautiously, she was met with a pair of trembling, honey-brown eyes staring back at her. A tiny German shepherd puppy, no older than 8 weeks, was curled up inside the bag. He was soaking wet, shivering, his fur matted and sticky with what looked like old formula. A dirty towel was wrapped around his tiny body, barely offering warmth. But it wasn't just the puppy that made Ava gasp. It was the note. Taped carefully to the inside of the bag's flap was a piece of lined paper, torn from a school notebook. Written in a messy, childlike scrawl, the words were smeared but still legible. "Please take care of him. His name is Shadow. I had to hide him from my dad. He hurts him. He said he'd throw him in the river. I'm sorry. I didn't know what else to do. I hope Shadow finds a family that loves him." Ava's hands trembled as she read it again and again, her eyes misting up. The rain suddenly felt heavier, colder. She looked down at the little pup, who nuzzled her palm, desperate for warmth and comfort. Whoever had written the note hadn't just abandoned the dog, they had saved him. And whoever the child was, they had been living in a situation too painful for any young soul to endure. Without hesitation, Ava scooped up the puppy, towel and all, held him close to her chest, and whispered, "I've got you now, Shadow." The next hours unfolded like a blur. Ava took Shadow to the vet first, her scrubs still wet from the rain. Dr. Linden, a kind, no-nonsense woman in her 40s, gave the puppy a full examination. Malnourished. He's got a fractured rib. Looks like blunt force trauma. And he's been underfed for a while. But he's a fighter. She looked up at Ava with softened eyes. If you hadn't found him, he wouldn't have lasted another day. Ava couldn't shake the note from her mind. Who was the child who risked everything to save this pup? And where were they now? She posted a photo of Shadow on a local animal rescue group's page, explaining the circumstances without disclosing the note's details. Messages flooded in, people wanting to adopt, offer donations, or help find the child. The story struck a chord. By the end of the day, the post had gone viral in the community. But Ava wasn't looking for attention. She was looking for answers. That night, Shadow slept curled up beside Ava on her couch, wrapped in a soft fleece blanket, finally safe. But every time Ava looked at him, she imagined a small pair of hands zipping up that backpack, maybe with tears in their eyes, whispering goodbye. The next morning, Ava returned to the bus stop with a new note in hand. She placed it gently under the bench, weighed down by a small rock. To the brave soul who left Shadow, I found him. He's safe. He's warm, and he's loved. If you need help too, I'm here. Leave a sign. You are not alone. She didn't know if anyone would come. She didn't even know if the child still passed by that stop. But she had to try. Days passed. Shadow began to heal. His ribs still ached, and loud sounds made him flinch, but with every belly rub, every soft word from Ava, he began to trust again. He followed her like a shadow, true to his name, and Ava found something healing in his presence, too. After losing her fiancé 2 years ago in a motorcycle crash, her world had gone grey. But now, this little creature was bringing colour back. 1 week later, on another grey morning, Ava returned to the bench. And there it was, a new piece of paper taped in the exact same spot she had placed hers. She unfolded it with shaking hands. "Thank you. I miss him so much. I can't stop crying, but I'm happy he's safe. You sound kind. My name is Eli. I'm 10. My mom left, and my dad drinks a lot. He got angry when Shadow barked. He said dogs don't belong in our house. He hit him with a belt. I wanted to run away, too. I wanted to climb on the bus and never come back, but I was scared." Ava clutched the note against her chest. There was no return address, no phone number, just heartbreak, written by a trembling hand. A child was out there, alone and afraid, and he had entrusted his only friend to a stranger in hopes of saving him. That kind of courage, it couldn't be ignored. She contacted local schools, spoke with social workers, and even got the police involved, all without revealing Eli's name. Meanwhile, Shadow grew stronger. He started playing fetch in the yard, barking joyfully, his eyes no longer clouded by fear. He became a symbol of resilience, a living miracle born of heartbreak and hope. Then, everything changed. One morning, as Ava stepped outside with Shadow, she found a tiny envelope tucked inside her mailbox. No postage, no return name, just her first name scribbled on the front. Inside was a single photograph. It showed a boy with tousled brown hair, crouching in a corner beside a younger Shadow. Both were smiling. And on the back, one line. "Can I see him again?" Ava felt her knees give out. She sank onto the porch step, the letter shaking in her grip. Shadow came over and nudged her arm, as if sensing the wave of emotion. She looked into his eyes, those same honey-brown eyes, and whispered, "We're going to find him." Now Ava had something to work with, a face, a name, a story that needed its final chapter. She handed the photo to a trusted officer who had been quietly helping her behind the scenes, someone who understood the sensitivity of the situation. And while the search began, she prepared something of her own, a letter for Eli. "Shadow misses you too. You saved his life. And now, I want to help save yours. You don't have to be scared anymore. If you're reading this, please come find me. We've been waiting." She placed it back under the bench. That night, Shadow didn't sleep on the couch. He sat at the door, ears perked, tail still, waiting. And the next morning, something happened. A patrol car pulled up quietly. A man in uniform stepped out. And sitting in the back seat, small and scared, was a boy with messy brown hair holding a blanket close to his chest. When the door opened and Shadow barked once, sharp and clear, Eli's eyes lit up with tears. He ran toward the porch. Shadow bounded forward, and in the middle of Ava's lawn, under the soft sunlight of a new day, two broken souls were reunited. But just as Ava thought it was over, just as she welcomed Eli into her home with open arms and trembling relief, he whispered something that sent a chill down her spine. He leaned close and said, "Miss Ava, I'm really happy you found Shadow. But there's something else I have to tell you. I wasn't the only one hiding something at home." What dark truth had Eli left behind in that house? Something so terrible it could put others in danger even now. Ava's breath caught in her throat as Eli's soft words echoed in her ears. I wasn't the only one hiding something at home. The boy's eyes, though barely 10, held a kind of ancient fear, an emotion too heavy for a child to carry. She knelt down to his level, one hand gently resting on his shoulder. "Eli," she said slowly, "you're safe here. But you need to tell me what you meant." Shadow pressed against the boy's leg protectively, his instincts already reading the tension. Eli hesitated. His gaze shifted to the street, as if he were afraid the house he had escaped would rise up and swallow him whole. "My dad," he began, then stopped, swallowing hard. "He has a room in the basement. He keeps locks on it, and there's a camera. I saw him bring other dogs there, but they didn't come out." Ava's heart turned to ice. "Dogs?" she whispered, her voice barely audible. Eli nodded. "He told me never to go down there. Said it was his business. But once I snuck down when he was gone. There was blood on the floor. And chains." He squeezed his eyes shut. "I think he hurts dogs. Maybe worse. Shadow was supposed to be next. That's why I ran." Ava stood up slowly, her hand trembling as she reached for her phone. The revelation slammed into her like a thunderbolt. This wasn't just about rescuing a puppy. This was bigger, darker. There was an entire layer of horror buried beneath the original heartbreak, and a man who was hiding more than just his alcoholism behind those closed doors. She called Officer Ramirez immediately, the kind-hearted cop who had helped her discreetly after Eli's letter. Within minutes, a call was dispatched to the precinct, and a protective order was placed over both Ava's home and Eli. A warrant was being prepared. As Eli rested on the couch with Shadow tucked beside him, Ava sat on the edge of her chair, shaken. She remembered every detail of the note, the desperation, the innocence, the unspoken trauma between the lines. And now, everything made horrifying sense. Shadow hadn't just been abused. He had escaped a place of torture, a backyard ring of cruelty operating in silence. 2 hours later, Ava's quiet street was filled with flashing lights. Officers in plain clothes moved quietly toward the small grey duplex on Willow Creek Drive, the one Eli had described. What they found inside stunned even the most seasoned investigators. In the basement, under heavy padlocks and behind a false wall, was a makeshift cage. Rusted chains hung from hooks in the ceiling. The concrete floor was stained with years of secrets. Hidden footage from a computer hard drive revealed images, unthinkable images, of dogs being restrained, hurt, sold. It was part of a backyard dog-fighting ring. And Eli's father? He was arrested on sight, his face frozen in disbelief as Shadow's name was mentioned. "That mutt!" He spat as he was cuffed. He was weak. Should have drowned him when I had the chance. When Ava heard that, she hugged Shadow tighter than ever. The community erupted. The news spread faster than anyone expected. Headlines read, "Young boy exposes hidden dog-fighting operation after rescuing puppy in backpack." Ava's story, once a quiet act of kindness, became a symbol of what one brave child and one determined dog could uncover. Eli, now placed in protective foster care with Ava as his guardian, slowly began to heal. At first he barely spoke, but with Shadow never leaving his side and Ava's quiet patience, the boy began to open up again. He started drawing pictures, bright ones, of grassy fields and happy dogs. The darkness hadn't left, but the shadows were no longer closing in. Then, one day, something incredible happened. Ava received a letter from a nearby animal rescue group. After reading about Eli and Shadow's story, they wanted to honor the boy's bravery by naming a new puppy rehabilitation wing after him, the Eli and Shadow Sanctuary. The facility would house abused or abandoned dogs and help them recover, physically and emotionally, just like Shadow had. When Ava told Eli the news, the boy burst into tears. Do you think Shadow would want that?" Ava nodded, tears in her own eyes. "I think Shadow already saved them." Now it's just our job to keep going." Shadow barked once, as if in agreement, and gently rested his head in Eli's lap. But late one night, weeks later, as Eli and Ava sat watching cartoons with Shadow sprawled at their feet, there was a knock at the door. Not a hard one, just a quiet tap, tap, tap. Ava opened the door and saw an envelope taped to the porch railing. No name, no return address, just a strange symbol drawn in red ink. Inside was a photograph. It showed Shadow, taken weeks ago, at the old house. Who had been watching? And why were they sending this now?